Hey guys, 8th grade, we are jumping into Unit 2, Lesson 1 today. So today you're going to be introduced to your group research project and you're going to read your first source on GMOs. Before we do that, you have an entrance ticket. This is going to be on page 80 in your workbooks. This ticket asks, Michael Pollan conducted extensive research in the omnivore's dilemma. What research question was he trying to answer throughout his journey? So please go ahead now. Pause the video, work to answer this, and have some discussion once you guys are done. You can come to me when you're ready to continue. All right, guys, so I'm trusting that you guys had some really good discussion. So you guys probably had all kind of different ideas around what types of questions he might have been trying to answer. A sample one could be something like, what should we have for dinner? Okay. All right, so guys, thank you for doing that for me. Let's look at our learning ticket for today. I can cite evidence that supports the influence GMOs have on our access to healthy food. All right, guys, so we are ready to look at our project. All right, and so Pollan's central question was, where does our food come from and what exactly are we eating? You guys are going to answer, how do GMOs influence our access to healthy food? Okay. All right, you've got a note catcher. In your workbook, this note catcher goes from page 81 to 87. There are all types of things, questions that it's going to help probe your research. What I would like for you to do at this point, you're going to read a text about GMOs, okay, to GMO or not to GMO, and you're going to practice gathering information from that text that addresses the central question. So you're going to use this note catcher in the next lessons as we work through some primary sources, and you're going to work with a partner to conduct internet research, okay? So what I want you to do now is I want you guys to go ahead and read to GMO or not to GMO. Actually, is that what you're reading today? Yes. Okay, hang on just a second. Yep. So okay, I've got to get this pulled up on my computer. I'm sorry, I'm working off two screens, guys. So you're going to go ahead and read to GMO or not to GMO, and then you're going to fill out the note catcher, access to healthy food research, GMOs note catcher. Okay. I will go over some of this with you guys. But you're going to work to start filling this in as you read. So today, you're going to fill in lesson 1. There should be a box that you see. I'm not sure what page it's on, but it says lesson 1. So you'll fill in the source, which is to GMO or not to GMO, and then you'll fill in all the information just for that source, because that's the only source we're reading today. And I hope that makes sense. These first few questions, let's go ahead and fill them in together, right? Because these are universal questions. Everybody's going to have the same answer to these, okay? So our central research question is, how do GMOs influence our access to healthy foods? So go ahead and put that down for number 1. Again, how do GMOs influence our access to healthy food? Number 2 says, what are some additional related focus questions that will help you explore this central research question? Here are some examples. What are the benefits of GMOs? What are the potential dangers of GMOs? What might be the long-term effects of GMOs on our health? And what might be the long-term effects of GMOs on the government? And then number 3, what are some internet research terms you could use for this question? GMOs, genetically modified foods, and genetic engineering. All right, guys, pause the video now, read through to GMO or not to GMO, and then fill in the spot for lesson 1, GMOs increase our access to healthy food. Fill in the source, and then you're going to fill in where it says decrease. So you're looking at that article from both sides. GMOs increase our access and GMOs decrease, okay? So this is going to take you guys some time to work through. You're going to do this with a partner. You're going to work to fill this out, okay? So you, here's what your chart looks like. You've got to fill both of these out for this one source. Go ahead, pause the video, come back to me once you've had time to work through this with your partner. You've had some discussion about it, and then I'll go over a few of these things, okay? All right. All right, guys, you're coming back to me, so that means we're ready to talk about the article. So I am on the increase side. So GMOs increase our access to healthy food. So you guys should have put the source there. So your source should have the author's first and last names. There are 2 of them. It should have the title. It should have Odyssey Magazine. And it should have February 1st, 2014, pages 15 through 19, and the web, because that is where all this came from. Your teacher can display this for you, what your source should look like. Is this source credible? Why or why not? Yes, the publisher is a widely respected children's magazine published in 2014, so it's not out of date. It presents both sides. One of the authors published 90 children's books. That establishes credibility, okay? So answer and evidence. That's going to look different for all of you guys, right? So how did this article show that GMOs increase our access to healthy food? That's going to look different for each of you, okay? I want to give you a few examples from the text. So in the text, it says vitamins can be added to GMOs. It also says that GMOs increase our access to healthy food because they can produce a lot more food and help prevent starvation. I'm paraphrasing these directly from the text, but you can find them in the text, okay? And then another one, it says, quote, modified crops may be more resistant to weeds, pest, disease, and or drought. Okay, so all that is the increased side. Now let's look at the decreased side. Okay, so under answer and evidence, again, everybody's probably got some different answers and evidence. I'm going to give you a few examples. The text, I'm paraphrasing, says, although GMOs make crops resistant to pests, they can also harm other species that are not pests. Okay, another piece of information or evidence is modifying foods can decrease our access to healthy food because it can cause disease and is potentially fatal for humans. And then lastly, this is a direct quote, certain farming practices utilizing GMO crops are unsustainable. Okay, so I trust that you guys fill that out. We're going to have another one in the next lesson, in lesson 2. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and move on to our researcher's toolbox. I'm going to ask that your teacher pause the video and go over this with you. Talk about the things on this piece of paper. It's very, very important. This can be found in your workbooks on page 88 and 89. Your teacher can put this up on the board and you guys can talk about how to quote accurately, how to determine credibility, how to determine if a publisher is credible. So let's go ahead and do that now. And then we'll come back together, okay? So go ahead and do that now. All right, guys, so I trust you spent some time with this researcher's toolbox. This is all going to be very important for you guys as you start researching GMOs. So now we are going to move to our workbooks, page 90 through 93, to GMO or not to GMO. So you guys have already read this. Our central research question again is, how do GMOs influence our access to healthy foods? So you're looking for information on how GMOs increase or decrease access to healthy foods. You're going to work in pairs to finish this last section here, okay? And you're going to, you're looking for relevant information to help you answer that question, okay? So go ahead and pause the video, finish searching for relevant information in the rest of the text that addresses the research question, and then I want you guys to be talking about this with your partner. Your teacher should be circulating the room and can help you get some discussion going. So go ahead and pause the video and begin working, guys. All right, guys, so I want to focus on a couple of things before I sign off for today. So how do we quote accurately or paraphrase? So focus on the quote that you recorded. So let's say that I wanted this quote from the text. Based on this quoted evidence, how do GMOs increase our access to healthy food? Focus on the paraphrase you recorded. Based on this paraphrased evidence, how do GMOs decrease our access to healthy food? Okay, so whether you're quoting accurately or you're quoting directly, I mean word for word, or you're paraphrasing what you said, you have to cite that information. This is what a citation should look like. This will go on your works cited page. Every publication that you use needs to have its own citation, and it needs to look like this. So this is how you write or create sources. Your teacher can also share some websites with you that will help you in doing this, but I just wanted you to have this information. Okay. Before we go, I want you guys to think about, now that you've read a little bit of research about GMOs, you're going to attempt to answer some related focus questions that were introduced in part of work time A. So This additional focus questions, GMO's anchor chart, your teacher's going to pull it up, and I want you guys to whole class share, talk about these questions, talk about what you've learned today, because you've learned so much today and you guys have done a great job. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, and I'm going to see you guys again in lesson 2.